Hello everyone, welcome to another MCQ series in our channel Bottom Line Education. Today we are covering Unit 6 Nature and Environment from Class 10 SE Science and Technology. What distinguishes climate change from general weather variation? So distinguishes means separates, okay? How is it different? So let's look at the option. Climate is defined as regular or irregular alteration, change in weather patterns over a very long period of time. Yes, that's actually correct. Climate involves changes that occur only over a decade. Quite not. It can be of centuries also. Climate refers exclusively to the daily fluctuation of temperature and humidity. The daily fluctuation is actually not called as climate, but that's actually called as weather. In Nepali, we also call that as mausam. And climate we call in Nepali as hawa pani, like overall average conditions. Climate is characterized by a constant average temperature that never fluctuates. So no, we've been talking about climate change. We know how the global temperatures are rising. They basically change. The right answer here is option number A. That is correct. Which gas produced by agricultural waste and treatment is a significant greenhouse gas? Okay, so agriculture waste, it is basically responsible for producing major of the methane gas. So it is produced through digging agricultural wastage and similarly animal dung and so on. So correct option is option number A, methane gas. Why can volcanic eruptions lead to a cooling of the climate despite releasing atmospheric gases? Okay, we know that they release greenhouse gases, but they can also sometimes cause to cooling effect. How does that happen? Now let's say we have a mountain from where a volcanic eruption is taking place. Now when that happens, not only the molten material inside releases other harmful gases that can cause greenhouse effect, but sometimes they basically what they do, they fog of our atmosphere. They basically block the rays of the sun reaching the earth, and when they are blocked from reaching the earth, they basically can cause a cooling effect. Now let's see which explains that. The water vapor release quickly turns into ice. No. Volcanoes absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during eruption. That's also not correct. The ashes and dust particles can block solar radiation when spread by the winds. Yes, that seems convincing. And they do not release oxygen. So the ashes and the dust particles, like we discussed, basically can block the sun's radiation spread across the atmosphere. So the correct option why they can lead to cooling effect is number C. What is the primary reason for replacing chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, with ammonia in refrigerator? So as we can see, in the past, the CFCs were very extensively used, but because of their ability to break down the ozone in the atmosphere, so due to that, the use of CFCs has actually decreased and now they are replaced with ammonia. Now the reason is ammonia does not deplete. Yes, that is true. Ammonia helps in the production of oxygen. That is wrong. Ammonia is less flammable. That's not the reason. And ammonia is more effective at trapping heat. No. So the reason is it does not damage or it does not deplete the ozone layer. CFCs actually destroy the ozone layer. They break down the ozone molecule, into molecular oxygen. That is diatomic form, and that is why the CFCs are replaced by ammonia. Which of the following is an ex-situ? Ex-situ means outside the natural habitat. Okay, so whenever we have been asked question about ex-situ and in-situ conservation, in-situ means conservation of animals in their natural habitat, and ex-situ means outside the natural habitat. So let's see which is the correct option in this case. Strictly prohibiting hunting within a community. Quite not. Keeping endangered birds in botanical garden or zoo. Yes, they are being kept outside their natural home. So that basically means ex situ, outside their natural environment. Protecting specific wetland, that does not explain. And establishing a national park in animals' native forest. So national park is basically example of in situ, right? For example, the rhinos in Chitwan are conserved. Chitwan National Park is actually a natural home, the habitat, So in situ or protection in habitat is actually explained, which is also wrong in this case. So the correct option is keeping endangered birds in botanical garden or zoo for outside the natural habitat conservation, that is ex situ. Next, the red panda has an herbivorous diet that primarily consists of what? Okay, native species in Nepal is actually called as red panda. In Nepal, it is also called as rato habre. So its diet is actually mainly bamboos, right? So the correct option is option number C. Which medicinal plant is known as gurzo in Nepal and is used to treat jaundice and fever? So gurzo, the another name for gurzo is actually heart-shaped moonseed, right? So the figure also illustrate that the shape of the leaves of this plant is actually heart shape. So the correct option is heart shape moonseed. And apart from that, as we remember during the COVID times, the branch, the body of the plant was actually boiled in water, and it was used extensively for the treatment of body aches, and similarly for treating high fever. So it is actually very good remedy for body ache and high fever. And apart from that, it also actually lowers down the blood sugar level. Because of the heart shaped leaf, it's also called as heart shaped moonseed in English, which is basically gurjo in Nepali. So correct option A. What is the primary medicinal use of flag root, that is calamus, also known as bozo? It's also called as Acorus calamus, the scientific name. As you can see in the figure, this actually is the plant of bozo, and the underground stem as well as the root, when it is dried, it actually becomes of this form, which is actually used as a pain reliever in the case of cough, cold, etc. So increasing immunity and treating leprosy. It's not used for treating leprosy. Reducing blood sugar level and healing ulcer is quite not the answer in this case. Treating skin problem like acne and blackheads, so that is also not correct. Treating gastrointestinal diseases and pain, yes, it is also used to treat problems related to stomach, digestion, and also as a pain reliever, and also in treatment of cough and cold. One additional thing is it's used in the treatment of cough and cold. I think we remember one medicine called as bozomint, just like Sansu. It was a great hit. So yes, it is used to treat. Correct option is number 9. Why is Cordyceps sinensis considered a unique biological gold? Okay, Cordyceps is also known in Nepali as Yarsa Gumba or Yarsa Gumbu. Now, why is it called a unique biological gold? It is a rare mineral found only in Himalayan mines. It is not a mineral. It's a plant with golden leaves that blooms once a century. It does not have leaves. It is a synthetic medicine created to mimic Himalayan herbs. No, that's actually not created like that. It's natural. It is a fungus that grows out of the head of a dead caterpillar. Yes, as you can see in the figure, this actually is the caterpillar, and the fungus actually infects it and grow out as a shoot on the top of the head like a horn. So the correct option is number D. Which gas is released by industrial processes that can reflect or absorb solar radiation, thus altering the climate? Altering basically means changing the climate. So which gas basically causes climate change? That's the question that's being asked. So helium is not the cause, argon is not the cause, neon is not the cause. They are basically inert gases. Now the main reason is the oxides of nitrogen, that is nitrogen oxides. So the correct option here is option number C, nitrogen oxides. What is a major effect of climate change on the energy production in mountainous regions like Nepal? So we have to relate the effect of climate change with the production of energy. Warmer temperature allow for more efficient solar panel operation. So major effect means basically it is asking us maybe for negative tone. So that could be possible. Melting glaciers create more permanent lakes for stable dam construction. So effect means here basically in the negative sense is also giving a positive vibe. There cannot be two correct answers. Increased winds will make wind turbine more efficient. We doubt that. That may not be true, may not be. Mountain snow melting faster leads to smaller river flows in the long run, reducing hydroelectricity. Here we can see that option A and B, there is no option that both are correct. So we have to omit A and B, and D is the best answer here. So here effect basically means in the negative sense. So mountain snow melting actually leads to smaller river flows during the seasons when we are expecting more, and they actually reduce the hydroelectricity production capacity. So correct option here is number D. Which animal is listed as protected reptile in Nepal? So we are looking for reptile. Now crimson horned pigeon is actually a bird. Asiatic rock python is actually a reptile. Great horned hornbill is again a bird, and hispid hare is basically a mammal. So though all are protected animals, but we are looking for the reptile, and a reptile in this case is the Asiatic rock python. Option number B is what happens to the carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere as a result of deforestation. Now the forest actually do the work of absorbing the carbon, that is they actually take in carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen gas to us. Now let's check the options. Oxygen level increase, so that is actually wrong. Levels remains constant. No, there's a great role of trees because they absorb carbon dioxide, so it does not remain constant. Levels decrease because there are fewer trees to release carbon dioxide. No, the carbon dioxide level does not decrease, because when the forests are cut down, the carbon dioxide actually increases in the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide level actually increases in the atmosphere. Now the levels increase in option number D because there are fewer forests to absorb carbon dioxide from the environment is actually the correct option, option number D. Which of these is a major cause for the extinction of plants and animals in Nepal? Natural migration of a species to suitable feeding ground. The natural cause are not being asked. In this case, extinction basically means it's often triggered by man-made or anthropogenic factor, or in some cases the natural factor like disaster. So natural migration does not cause that, which is wrong. The excessive use of organic fertilizer in farming. So organic fertilizer actually do not cause damage. They are actually of good nature, unlike inorganic. Chemical fertilizers are dangerous, so this is not a major cause, so this option is omitted. Implementation of Environment Conservation Act 2076. So it is actually for the conservation. This is for the conservation of the endangered plants and animals. So it is not a cause of extinction, it is actually a remedy. Now last, hunting and smuggling of animals for illegal trade is the correct option number D. Next, what is the primary habitat of the Asiatic elephant in Nepal? So habitat means natural home. So the question is asking which is the natural home of the Asiatic elephant. The elephant species which are native to Nepal and South Asian region, basically forest and large grasslands of the Tarai region. So we know they are found very commonly in the Chitwan National Park, which is actually covered by forest, and there's large grasslands present. So correct option is number B. How should we conserve endangered medicinal plants that are very rare? Okay, regarding medicinal plants, harvesting them to store their seeds in the museums. That does not look very convincing. If we harvest them completely, again they will run out. We will run out of the plants. We are damaging. Using in situ and ex situ conservation methods to protect them. Okay, that looks okay. Replacing them with imported medicines. No, that actually again does not help them to conserve. Increasing the export of these plants to fund the conservation. Okay, that also seems okay, but only the exporting does not ensure that they are actually conserved, right? So exporting may actually make people to pay heavily, as well as to totally harvest them and completely decrease their number. Using in situ and ex situ conservation. In situ means in habitat, and ex situ means basically outside the natural habitat. So they can be basically grown outside their natural environment, or they can be protected in their own natural habitat also, or that is their main place is to protect them. So correct option here is number B. Why is the natural greenhouse effect considered very essential on Earth? Greenhouse effect actually, it helps to keep Earth warm, the solar radiation is trapped, and not only that, it also makes life possible. So life is possible, Earth is warm still because of the natural greenhouse effect or that is taking place on the Earth. So it has maintained a particular temperature for living, that is okay. It increases the rate of ice melting, no. It allows all solar radiation to reach the Earth's surface directly, quite not. It provides the carbon dioxide necessary, no. So the best option here is to maintain the particular temperature, to keep it warm, and for the living beings to survive in a warm environment. Correct option number A. Next, what is a major barrier? Barrier basically here means hurdle, or we can also basically call that as a challenge. So what is the major hurdle or challenge to use local medicinal herb instead of imported medicines? What is the challenge in using local medicines? Let's look at the options. Chemical medicines have no side effects. That's actually not quite. Chemicals actually have side effects. There are no medicinal plants found in the Karnal region, which is actually wrong, except in the very high Himalayas where there is snow covered almost all the year. They are found. Medicinal plants are actually found in most of the places. Option number C, local herbs are more expensive than chemical medicine, which is not true in most of the cases. There's lack of sufficient technology to process raw herbs into the medicine. Yes, that actually sounds convincing. So though we have a lot of local medicinal herbs and plants available, people are either unaware, there's lack of awareness, or we don't have the technology to actually produce medicine in mass quantity through them. And that is also by processing the raw materials. So here D looks convincing. Correct option D. What is the scientific name for the one-horned rhinoceros? Okay, we've got to learn this. The correct option is actually Rhinoceros unicornis, option number D. So number A actually stands for python, that is Asiatic rock python. Elephas maximus is actually for the Asiatic elephant. This is the scientific name of this. Panthera tigris is actually the scientific name of tiger. So rhinoceros, rhinoceros unicornis. So this is the correct option. Next, what is the primary reason given for why ammonia should replace CFC, that is chlorofluorocarbon, in the refrigerator and air conditioner? So okay, the main reason is CFC basically they deplete or they destroy the ozone layer. That is the main cause, whereas ammonia quite does not do the same. Okay, ammonia does not contribute to greenhouse effect or global warming, option A. This is not quite related. We are talking about depletion of ozone layer. That's the main role of CFCs. Ammonia is more efficient coolant. It's not quite about efficiency. Ammonia does not deplete the ozone layer. Yes, the main reason is, okay, the depletion of the ozone layer. So CFC are also called as ODS, that is ozone depleting substances, and CFCs are naturally occurring gases that are becoming scarce. That's actually also not correct. So the correct option here is number C, ammonia does not deplete, or that is it actually does not destroy or make the ozone layer thin. What is the albedo or reflection effects role in climate change? So we are looking for the albedo effects and its role in the climate change. So what does albedo effect mean? Albedo effects basically refers to changes in the rate of reflection of sunlight, okay, which can alter or change the heat absorbed by the earth and cause climate change. So the correct option is option number B, that is called as the albedo effect or the reflection effect. The use of chemical fertilizers in agricultural waste treatment is specifically linked to an increase in which greenhouse gas? Okay, so we have two things over here. In agricultural waste treatment, which greenhouse gas is most commonly involved? The correct option in agricultural waste treatment is they are actually full of nitrogen. So nitrogen is the element that we are looking for mostly, and carbon dioxide quite not. Methane, there is some methane present, okay, but the major of the gas is actually the oxides of nitrogen. So the correct option is nitrous oxide, option number D. Chlorofluorocarbons is unrelated. So what is the primary biological classification of Yarsagumba? Okay, now Yarsagumba is pretty interesting. It actually initially is just a worm. It's an animal. But once the worms get infected with a parasite, which is basically a fungus that starts to grow on its head. So once the fungus starts to grow on its head, the worm slowly paralyzes over time, and it actually kind of becomes like a dead. It is not able to move. So it has got itself a name, ghost mummified caterpillar fungus. That's the main reason. Okay, now let's look out for the correct option over here. Number A says it is a modified root system, quite not. B says it is a herbaceous perennial plant. No, it's actually a worm in the beginning. C says it's an entomopathogenic fungus. Yes, that lives as a parasite on a plant. However, it can also be found in the case of animals. In this case, it is basically found in the case of worm. Number D, it is a culinary vegetable found in lowlands. So it is not a vegetable. So the correct option here is number C. Last question. How does climate change directly impact energy production in the mountainous regions like Nepal? Okay, now when the energy production is increasing in the mountainous regions like Nepal, let's explore the options. By increasing the frequency of solar radiation to power more solar panels. So that kind of seems not so possible. So we are just omitting that. By generating stronger winds. Okay, we doubt that. By increasing the demand for fire due to colder winter patterns. Okay, that is simply kind of funny. By causing mountain snow to melt faster, resulting in smaller rivers and reduced hydropower capacity. Yes, option number D looks convincing. How climate change can affect energy production in mountains. So correct option here is number D. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope you are getting a lot of learning through videos like this. Hope to see you in the next MCQ series of next lesson. Till then, bye. Thank you.